I lost the trial despite the DNA not matching me. The conviction was caused by a coerced false confession, prosecutorial misconduct, fraud by the medical examiner, terrible public defender. Lost 7 appeals, got turned down for parole, ultimately was exonerated through further DNA testing through the data bank, which not only exonerated me, but also identified the actual perpetrator.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Hi, hello everyone, and today we are with Jeffrey, and we have a story that will blow your mind in our series of 5 step how you made your first million, how entrepreneurs made the first million. And we have been doing a series of interviews with successful entrepreneurs that have shared with us the problems, the challenges, the obstacles that they have to overcome. But what you are about to hear tonight is going to blow your mind. So if you can, Jeffrey, please introduce yourself and share a little bit about you.
Sure. My name is Jeffrey Deskovic. I'm an attorney. I'm the founder of the Jeffrey Deskovic Foundation for Justice, a nonprofit organization that I started once I made millions of dollars. And the organization's mission is to free people who are in prison for crimes that they're innocent of and to pursue policy changes aimed at preventing that. So far, we have freed 14 people. We helped pass 3 laws and then another 6 as part of key members of the National Coalition Group. It could happen to you. I have a master's degree. My master's is in criminal justice. My thesis is on wrongful conviction, causes, and reform. Last point I want to quickly make is I do work frequently in coalition, so I do want to acknowledge my coalition partners. First, the Right to Remain Silent Coalition, and then also the Restorative Justice International, where I serve on their Global Advisory Council. I started all this advocacy work because I was exonerated through DNA testing after I spent 16 years in prison in New York for a murder and rape, which I didn't commit. I was arrested when I was 16. I turned 17 by the time the trial started. I lost the trial despite the DNA not matching me. The conviction was caused by a coerced false confession, prosecutorial misconduct, fraud by the medical examiner, terrible public defender. Lost 7 appeals, got turned down for parole, ultimately was exonerated through further DNA testing through the data bank, which not only exonerated me, but also identified the actual perpetrator.
And then Jeffrey, this is something that I don't know how you manage to turn your life around in such a positive way, because I think that in prison, right, especially for this type of charges, the inmates they become very aggressive because they think that they could be their own daughter and so on. So how you navigate this situation of basically you were so sure that you haven't committed that the inmates could see that in your face, in your expression, and they didn't attack you that much, or was hard there in prison.
Sure. So in general, I try to keep my head down, not to attract attention to myself. You learn the different prison, survival tactics. So for example, don't take anything from anyone, don't borrow, don't gamble, don't get involved with, what's being watched on television. When you're in your cell, be in the cell. Don't talk outside the gate. A lot of, if some violence happens, throw your back against the wall, keep everybody in front of you. I tried to identify everybody who was in what gang and who was not. I would study people for a month or 2 before even I would say hello, just to even keep people in arm's length. So you learn those prison survival tactics. But even with that, there were a few situations where people did learn what I was incarcerated for. And I think that by the way I carried myself, They also, it wasn't too hard for them to believe I was innocent. I always showed them the legal paperwork where the DNA didn't match me. So that's how I got by. That having been said, there were some situations over the course of my 16 years where, there were some times I was subjected to violence, but even there, a prison survival tactic. You have, no matter what, win, lose, or draw, you have to defend yourself. You have to fight back, and you gain respect by doing that.
Yeah, and I think that so what was imagine you're going very young over there, right? What was the process from hate, anger, frustration to actually have a positive mindset and turn your life around? How you have done it actually, that you decided to. So where do you study law? Do you study law in the prison, or just when you get out?
I studied law while I was in prison. So
Wow.
I used to go to the law library because I had public defender at the trial and he really didn't do a good job for me. So I didn't trust lawyers to defend me anymore. Um, so I knew I couldn't be the lawyer, but I figured if I could learn the law, if I could go to the
Mm-hmm.
law library, at least I could be in position to give some suggestions and I could evaluate. Like when they would send me like a draft of a legal document they were going to send, I would look the cases up and I'd give suggestions. So that
Mm-hmm.
was part of it. And I used to collect articles about other people who were exonerated. So I would study who helped them, what route what route did they take. You are correct that there definitely was a mindset issue there. So I had to keep fighting off feelings of hopelessness, helplessness, thoughts of giving up, thinking about suicide. I mean, these things are unnaturally natural to think about in that extreme a situation.
Wow.
But here's the point. I knew that nobody was coming to my rescue. And so I had to hold it together so that I could maximize my chance of connecting with someone on the outside who could help build the bridge between me and the legal help that I needed to do the legal work to
Because nobody's coming to
exonerate
help,
me.
right?
No one was coming to help, so I had no choice but to hold myself together mentally. And so studying the law and collecting the articles, but then also in the later years, writing letters, looking for help, looking for somebody who could help me, not just law firms and nonprofit organizations, but I also thought outside the box. So if I
Wow.
could come up with an action that somebody could take who was not in the legal profession that could potentially set in motion chain of events that led to my getting legal representation. I wrote the letter. I never took for granted that they could understand what they could do. I pointed out what they could do. I made it, seem very easy for what they could do, and that was, that was part of it. So the other thing in terms of collecting, earning the millions of dollars I ultimately got was once I was exonerated, seeking a reputable civil rights law firm to represent me. And I interviewed multiple law firms, and some of them I ruled out because they were not prepared. One of them even tried looking at the legal work I'd sent them in front of me right there during the meeting. So I knew right there that that law firm was ruled out. And so ultimately I did select somebody, but the fact that there was more than one that was interested, I was able to use that in my negotiations, in getting a little bit of a discount. But I want to also say remaining involved, remaining engaged. So I would monitor updates, and I would attend depositions that the lawyers were holding of other witnesses. I mean, they would say to me sometimes, my lawyers, oh, well, this is just a minor witness. It's not, you don't have to go. Never mind. I cleared my calendar. That was the most important thing. And I attended all the depositions, and every
Wow.
time I went to court, even minor pre-trial conferences, I attended.
So how you managed to learn all this? Because when you were inside that, you were very young, 16, 17 years old. So how you learn, uh how, like you just shared with me, like if you can put a plan in motion that an organization out there can make a difference, and can they can look at your case in the different perspectives. So where this idea come from? Where did you learn that? Because basically you were taken out of the education system really young, and now you are in an environment that you are surrounded by inmates and cops and few books. So how you learn about these strategies, about thinking outside the box in a very confined environment where there is actually very little information? What can you do?
All right. So yeah, you are. So I was arrested when I was 16. You're correct. And I got bailed out. The trial started after I was 17. I lost, and I was in the prison from 17 to 32. So in terms of how I learned those things, so we all stand on the shoulders of giants, right? Meaning that we learn from the people that came before us, learn everything that there is to know about something, and then you try to advance and break some new ground. But you do all that first, because why reinvent the wheel if you don't need to? So when I read articles about other people who were exonerated, I learned that they used to write letters to people, and often the person that initially came to their help was not somebody in the legal field. They convinced a civilian who was not in the legal field that they were innocent, and then that person ultimately found somebody. So I tried to replicate that idea.
To follow the process, yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of remaining involved, both in terms of learning, going to law library and staying involved with my case while I was inside, and then later in the civil lawsuits afterwards. So I like to, I'm an extrovert socially, but I'm also an introvert. I like to think deeply. I like to draw lessons from the world, lives of other people, and also, most importantly, from my own life. And so I have to say that I was not engaged in the criminal trial when it happened. Okay, I was very young, and I trusted the lawyer to defend me, and that backfired. So I learned from that, and so that was how I figured that out. And last thing is that at times along the way, people suggested things to me. So when I first got to the prison, there was an older prisoner that said, are you going to go to the law library? You have a lot of time. You have 15 to life. It's very important for you to go. Look, Jeff, I have a paid lawyer. And he mentioned the name of his lawyer, very high profile. He said, look, I don't even rely on him to defend me. I go to the law library and I give him suggestions. And you're not in my position, Jeff. You have a public defender yet again. So you better go to the law library so that you could learn the law, so that you could give suggestions, so that you could know what's going on in your case. So I think my point is being able to spot good advice from people that have been down the road from where you are, even if they didn't arrive at the total place, but they're in process. If they're a little bit further than you are, then that's somebody that you could that you could learn from.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.